Let's see if we're streaming this time for real.
Okay. So if you're watching and if we're live,
Yes, guys, we are live.
you've got two
Knuckle draggers.
knuckle draggers trying to figure out tech.
Two meatheads trying to figure all this technology out.
Are you? We need you to move closer to me.
That's,
no,
that's
we're good.
us.
Okay.
We're live.
Hey guys. So we had to set the studio back up because like I tore down the cameras and stuff like that and hid it all while we weren't in the studio. So Jack has actually been working to set everything back up, rewire everything and whatnot. So.
And we just wanted to come and do kind of a status update because I know a lot of people have been worried about Dave. You guys have been hitting me up all over the place. And also just a lot of stuff has happened in the last 6 months. I mean, a lot of things have happened to the whole world, but also, things are starting to change a little bit for us too. So
yeah. So quick status update on me. As you can see, I'm not eating crayons. So cognitively, I don't like. They still say I'm testing above a Marine, so I'm okay. I ended up with 2 skull fractures, 1 slightly displaced, but not enough needs surgery. I had an active brain bleed. I was admitted to the Bellevue ER to critical. I was in critical care, prepped for surgery for the first 4 hours, and then monitored for like the first 24 NPO, like nothing by mouth, for 24 hours while they waited to see if they need to go in and do any surgical interventions. So 2 skull fractures, 2 orbital fractures, jaw fracture. Which probably have to be corrected. I'm deaf in my left ear right now, but there's nothing they can do about that for like 6 weeks because I had because of the bleed and blood in my inner ear. They have to wait for the body to reabsorb that before we find out if if my hearing comes back after that happens, or with the mandible fracture, there were also fractures back in that area. So if the hearing doesn't come back when the blood gets reabsorbed, then they'll go in and do a surgical intervention to see if they can save my hearing that way. But all in all, I got really lucky. Really lucky.
and the doctor told you like one more blow to the head, you'd be dead.
Yeah,
the
fact that my skull was fractured and slightly displaced in this area, like the protection was essentially not there anymore.
Do you want to tell people exactly like what happened on the subway?
Sure.
Because I think people are asking right now, and maybe some people are like, okay, Dave got pretty fucked up, but what do you fall down the stairs? Like what happened?
Yeah, no, I didn't fall. I have fallen before. But essentially what happened was I was on my way to work. I work a night shift, and I was on the subway car by myself, reading for our guest, one of our guests, engrossed in the book and not paying attention. And I'm embarrassed that I wasn't paying attention, but also after you serve your time in the military and whatnot, you sort of don't expect at your own sort of peril, I guess, but you don't expect to sort of have to live your life on constant alert. But I was not aware of anything. The guy who didn't say anything. I was given no, prior notification. I was just reading, and next thing I know, everything, that good knockout shot. And then I was vaguely aware of getting hit again, and then not vaguely aware, like aware of getting hit a third time, and that's when my sort of system rebooted because I realized this person was trying to kill me. If they wanted to rob me, they could have robbed me after the first hit. My backpack with my laptop was next to me, and I was pretty much out. But once that third hit came, and I realized that I was being killed, I just kind of rebooted, opened my eyes, and his waist and legs were ahead of me. Like I remember his belt, and I pushed him back, got some space. Sorry about that. Pushed him back, got some space so I could sink down to the, get off my seat, sank down, took him down, and started grappling with him. And basically, I was fine at that point, except this eye was completely swollen shut. And then I kept on losing consciousness. But I was still like managing to keep him down and everything. As we were approaching the next subway stop, I was unaware. I was very confused at this point in time. But he was aware that the jig was up. Like his time was running out because there would be people on the next platform and things like that. So he started saying, if you let me go, I'll let you go. If you let me go, I'll let you go. And again, I wish I hadn't let him go, but I was sort of in this really fuzzy state of mind. And I was concerned that if he started panicking and had a knife, that, that he could start just kind of shanking me and there wasn't much I could do. Cause
Yeah, and like you'd been knocked out and somehow managed to come back and like strangle, wrestle this guy to the ground.
Right.
Like you don't really have the presence of mind to do
Right.
a whole lot else.
Right. And at the time, I didn't realize until after all this, but what he hit me with was a rock about this big, about the size of a coconut. And that's what he hit me with 3 times. So, I just thought that, it was some guy like Mike Tyson, Rocky Marciano that, just really, I was like, this dude's packing some juice, but it was a rock which had fractured my skull and everything. But I also knew if I let him go that he wasn't going to do anything. I knew he was afraid of me at that time. I didn't have anything in the tank. I was just holding on, but he didn't know that. He just knew that he had been handled. So I wasn't worried about if I let him go, what he might do. I was worried about if I didn't let him go, what he might do. So I let him go, and I'm still lying on the ground, when I let him go. And he gets up, and he starts to reach for something. I see him reaching for something, and I look, and it looks like a cell phone, So I kick his hand, and when I say kick, I don't mean like Bruce Lee kick. I mean like a 5-year-old throwing a temper tantrum. I kind of I said, don't touch my phone. And he goes, it's my phone. And he reached for it again, and I kicked his hand again. And by that time, the subway doors were open. So he skedaddled, because there were people on the platform, and he skedaddled. So I was just kind of sitting there dazed, stunned, and some kid, maybe in his, early 20s or whatever, gets on the train and by another door. Nobody came on the door, this guy got off. And I don't think it was intentional. I think it was just how the platform was spread out. This kid comes on and he looks at me, and I know he's scared of me because I look like a thug, and he doesn't know what just happened. And he goes, do you need help? And I go, yeah. And he goes, you want the cops? And I go, yeah. And he goes, okay, I'll take you to the cops. So I got up, and I saw the phone on the ground, so I picked it up, and the guy was right. It wasn't my phone. And then I picked up the phone case, and my phone was actually back in my pocket. At some point in time before I attacked him, I had slipped my phone into my back pocket.
Dude, I don't know. That's like some dead gunner drill shit you hear about in World War II, where the fucking gunner gets a fucking round through the head and he taps the AG and then rolls out of the way before he dies.
Yeah, it's so crazy. But at some point before I took this guy down, I had put my phone back in my pocket. And then that's the first time I saw the rock, and this rock. And it's funny because when I was telling the cop that I got hit at the ER, when I was telling the cop that I got hit with a rock, the cop comes back or calls me the next day, and he goes, Brooklyn cop, he's like, you said you got fucking hit in the head with a rock. He goes, that was a fucking coconut, So the cops have the phone, they have the rock, they have a business card or ID card from somebody else, I guess. I thought it was an ID card, but it turned out to be a business card from somebody that they can't really follow up on. Unfortunately, the cameras on that platform were installed but not wired.
Shocking.
Yeah, because MTA has no money at all. New York's a broke city. I don't know if you know this.
MTA was on the way down and out before COVID hit. It was, yeah.
Yeah. Well, what he was saying, crimes apparently since COVID and the prisons were opened and, whatnot, crimes on the subway are way, way up. And MTA won't, honestly, they could wire every single car with a camera and a DVR. It's not that hard. They just won't spend the money on it.
Yeah.
But the thing with the phone is they're going to run a DNA swab on it. They said it might take 30 days. As far as cracking the phone, they're waiting to see if they can get a warrant. Even though the guy said it was his phone, because I'm not sure if I physically saw him drop it. Maybe I did, maybe I didn't, but I didn't initially say that. So because I didn't initially say that, or because, because I did not see him drop it, the judge may not approve a warrant based on ownership.
It's crazy, man.
So, and his phone got jacked up. My phone actually made it through the encounter okay. But things were, like, I was admitted in critical care. I had an active brain bleed. Things were really sketchy up top. And they were precarious for, I'd say, the first 24 hours. But I mean, I'm recovering well. I feel better than I should feel. Like, for those of you who want to know why I'm not on the show, it's because my vision, it's not that I'm having vision issues, is that my eyes get irritated really quickly. Like the TBI might take 3 months to 6 months to actually settle
So
down.
I shouldn't use the strobe light effect on
Yeah,
on the
probably
lights.
not. Like, I'm not supposed to read right now or watch TV.
Really?
Yeah, I'm not supposed to like read or watch TV. My eyes get overstimulated easily. I get a little confused and have a hard time processing when there's like a lot of stuff coming in at once. And I've told you some of my experience at the hospital. The doctors have been great. The hospitals and the administrative process at hospitals, not so much. It's tough. It's tough to get follow-ups even when the ICU is telling you have the scene in a week. Then you call the hospital and they're like, yeah, we can get you in 3 weeks.
Yeah, that's fucking frustrating to say the least.
But all in all, I'm good. I've got some follow-ups next week that I'm going to be attending. I don't know if I'll be able to be back on the show next Friday. It really depends on my tolerance. Like looking at a screen for 2 hours.
What
is
kind
really
of
tough.
stamina you have for
Yeah.
it. Yeah.
But hopefully I'll be back on the show within like 2 or 3 weeks,
Yeah. And I wouldn't sweat it. You need 2 or 3 weeks to take it. I can't offer you workers' comp or anything like that. It's a bit, see, there is no paycheck. So, I can't really, I have nothing to offer.
I need to
Sorry.
unionize.
Yeah. Can one person unionize?
I don't know.
On their own?
I don't know.
This guy, Jack Murphy's running me ragged down here in the studio.
Yeah. But I wanted to, when Jack put out the GoFundMe stuff, because actually, I asked Jack, I called Jack from the hospital. I called you, right? I called Jack from the hospital.
You sent me a text, and I was like, "Holy fuck!" And then we talked on the phone like an hour or two later.
Yeah. So texting, like you'll see, sometimes I do some quick drive-bys on social media, but actually social media is really tough for me right now, just because I can't like look at the screen that long. But I know that Jack, put out the word, and then I guess it was people from our community who mentioned the GoFundMe, and then Jack asked me if I wanted GoFundMe, and like I'm going to be out of work for quite a while. I don't know what my medical bills are going to be yet in terms of rehab and things like that. And so I said, sure, and Jack put, and we talked about it. I said, yeah, just, put a couple grand, $1,000 or $2,000, and Jack put $1,500. And immediately you guys, I don't know. I just want to say that our live stream community was the first community to like jump on that. And I've received so much support. Like I get emotional even thinking about it. Like, I don't even know what to say. I just deeply appreciate, everybody's care and concern and generosity. And it's overwhelming. Anyway, it's just overwhelming. I really deeply just appreciate all of you, and appreciate everything that you guys have done for me, and your continued support of the show and everything else. Are we still streaming?
Yeah.
Okay.
No, so they're just commenting that the audio is a little low, so it's.
Oh, is it? That also might be me.
Yeah, you sound very good here.
Okay.
And yeah, so, I just want to say likewise, thank you to all of you guys stepping up for Dave. It's a huge help. It takes a lot off Dave's shoulders, and it's just been like incredible to see, incredibly touching. All the people, I think it started off with you guys who watched the show. The Ranger community really, manned up for you. even people that you had worked with, like people who watch the show don't even realize that like you've done improv and you've done comedy and you've done all these interesting
Yeah,
things.
the
in life.
improv community, like some really big names in the improv community. I mean, people who've had shows on Comedy Central, like jumped in. Like I mean, I have no way. I have no idea how I'm ever going to be able to repay everybody for their just, like I said, generosity. I mean, Jack and then a couple of my other friends like showed up immediately when I got discharged and filled my cupboards full of food so that I wouldn't, have to worry about that. Obviously, like what I can and can't eat is very limited right now because I can't really chew. I can eat sushi, but I just found that out the other day. But like I like my jaw doesn't completely work right now. It doesn't completely open. It doesn't completely close on the left side. So I can eat foods that I can mush up. But So Jack and then other friends of mine, Rob and Don, like jumped in, like so many people. And then another friend of mine, Dylan, is like showing up, like giving me rides to my appointments and everywhere I need to go. Not that I'm afraid to go on the subway. It's just like overstimulated right now. Like I can't deal with that. In terms of work, because I work physical security and stuff like that, like doctor said, barring any surgeries, doctor said that if I worked an office job, that they wouldn't want me to go back to work for at least a month because I work in a field where I could potentially get knocked in the side of the head again. Like they have no idea when they will let me go back to work or want me to go back to work. So, but fortunately, I don't have to worry about that right now because everybody is like come out so strongly and taking care of me. So anyway, that's where we're at. That's where I'm at. For the show, we're Jack, as you can see, Jack's doing amazing work on the studio. We're getting, some, I don't want to say props, but some dressing. We're setting the cameras and the everything back up in the studio.
We just came back in here today and just threw up the cameras and spun up the TriCaster and updated all the firmware. Last week I was in here building out the set, as it were. Let us know what you guys think. I mean, I don't really want it to look like a Steven Seagal set, even though it kind of looks like that. But let us know what you think of it. Got some lighting in here, some knives, some books, and we got another bookcase over here. There's some more stuff to do, some more work to do, and probably some more lighting to buy.
Jack's been working on a Sam Elliott look.
Yeah, my Jeremiah Johnson hair.
Yeah.
I spent a lot of time cultivating this look. So yeah, I mean, like we said, a lot has happened in the last 6 months. We pretty much took this show remote because of COVID, and we had guests lined up. Some of them were always going to be dialing in remote on Skype or Zoom or whatever, but quite a few were to come in studio, and all of them had to make different arrangements because they understandably don't really want to be coming through New York City in the middle of a pandemic. So, and then I also, New York City was getting locked down and shut down. I have a kid. Being locked down in a small New York City apartment is not, a whole hell of a lot of fun. So I got out of the city for a little bit. It was just a challenging time, and overall, for us and for this show, I mean, getting jacked up in the subway aside, as far as like the show is concerned, like we've been very fortunate in that we haven't been hit as hard as others have, that we've been able to keep up our cadence of doing the show every week. We've had these amazing guests who have come in. I mean, if you look at it, the last, since COVID kicked off, I mean, the show has kind of come into its own, I think.
Yeah.
And really kind of grown. So I thank all you guys for sticking with us, bearing with us. It's definitely still a work in progress, and I think as good as the interviews themselves are and as great as the guests are, where my technical skills leave something to be desired. So it's always an uphill battle and a struggle to get the cameras and the lighting and the mics. Let us know what you think. Like, how is the sound quality right now? Is it better than it was before? Because I've been in here the last couple weekends, messed around with the microphones, messed around with a couple other things, just trying to improve the overall production quality of the show. And the plan is to be back in studio in September. Now, when our guests going to start coming in the studio, that's another story, because it's going to depend on COVID, and are there spikes in New York City? Are people comfortable coming back to the city? It might be a while before we start having in-studio guests on a regular basis. But we'll be here, and we will, have people dial in on Zoom like they did before.
Yeah.
And, we will improvise and overcome, and, totally dedicated to continuing to grow the channel.
Yeah, I think that's it. Are there any questions? I mean,
let's see. If there's any questions, go ahead and shoot them in the comments, since we're here live. They want to know what's up with the hair, man. Need some rifles and magazines for the background. And Dave should lend Jack some money for a haircut.
I should lend money for what?
Lend some money for a haircut.
Well, why not just hair product? I mean,
that's so. See, I was commenting the other day that I got this the beginnings of a receding hairline that's freaking me the fuck out. So now I realize I never cared about my haircut. I get a $20 haircut. I don't give a shit. Now I realize the error of my ways. I'm I got to take advantage of this while I still can. And now I'm just having to figure out, should I get the Patrick Bateman haircut or Tom Cruise and Vanilla Sky? Which direction should I go in here? But I'll figure all that out. These are the big problems of my life here, Dave, that I've been dealing with.
No, look, when it comes to receding hairlines, I say embrace it. I actually was in Ranger Battalion. We were down in Panama getting ready to deploy to the United States, and I let my hair grow a little too much and got chewed out about it. So I just gave myself a quick buzz, and I started just shaving my head all the time. And then I think when I was 34, 35, I decided to let my hair grow out, and it didn't. So
Mike says that your baldness is a bit patriarchal.
Yeah, I'm sorry about that. I'm the man. I am the system. I am
the old wise owl.
Yes. Andrew, I want to tell you, it's never too soon. Because Andrew made a joke about a book so good that it almost killed me, and then it's too soon. But it's never too soon. A lot of people, a lot of my civilian friends, reach out very concerned, and it's beautiful, and I appreciate it. But honestly, I deal better with all my military buddies who call up and give me shit about it, who make fun of me and stuff like that. That's how we grew up dealing, in the military. How you deal with this kind of shit is, once everybody knows you're okay, they have to make fun of you. A lot of my friends have asked me how many pieces the rock was in after
it hit your head.
After my head hit it, things like that. And I mean, to be honest with you, Jack and I've talked about this, and the guy got on the subway with the intent of doing harm to somebody. Rocks like that are not easy to find in New York City. You don't just see
on the sidewalk.
Rocks on the sidewalk. So he got on the train with the intent of harming somebody, and I can say this now because I'm okay and I'm healthy. I don't want to sound holier than that, because if somebody said, hey, somebody needs to Roger up to get hit with this rock, who's going to volunteer? I definitely would not have. But in hindsight, in retrospect, now that I'm okay, I'm glad that it was me or somebody like me who, one, has a really thick skull, and two, has the background that enabled me to overcome this guy. Because if it were an elderly person or a mother or father of a couple kids, I'm not married, I don't have kids, I don't have anybody waiting at home for me. So if he was going to do this, then it's fortunate it was
not some old lady.
A dumbass former ranger that has been jumped before. It's not a big deal.
Way to take one for the team.
Yeah, right. I'm holy. And I don't mean to sound like that. I'm just
No, but really, I mean, if it was some old person, it would have killed him.
Or some kid or something like that, So all in all, I get to sound like a fucking saint right now. And again, like I said, I wouldn't have rogered up in advance. I just want to put that out there. I'm not that brave or anything. It's just that it's now that I'm okay, it's easy, it's easy to say, oh yeah, good, lucky it was me.
Yeah.
But I don't mean me, but I mean like us, guys who have, like it's not the first time I got jumped. It's the first time that somebody's really done me.
I'm good.
It's the first time somebody's done me that good,
Dabbed you up that bad.
Yeah, dabbed me up that
Jesus.
bad. But anyway, Andrew, it's never too soon.
Yeah, and so someone was asking, you need more like guns and magazines and stuff like that. And like one thought I had, since this thing's called the team house, that we could make it look like an actual team house and like put the little cubbies in there with all the gear and shit like that, which is kind of sort of what we got going on. But the thing is, like, we're in New York City too, and you can't have a bunch of AR-15s in there and Glocks and stuff like that. So then, do we get airsoft pistols and airsoft rifles? And
Right.
stuff? And it's like, this is just kind of lame. You know what I mean?
Right.
And also, I think me and you were both a little sensitive to the fact, like, we're not trying to pretend like we're still in the army.
Right.
we're
And
not-
we don't try, and again, nothing against vet bros. We're not trying to, that's not what we're trying to be.
Right.
And and this is actual stuff from Jack's past.
Yeah, this is stuff I used in Iraq. This is an RPG rocket bag. Sans RPG rockets. It is just the bag. Disclaimer. But this was a kit I used overseas, and so I had it in a tough box. And it's like, hey, pull it out and see what we can.
Maybe we can do this. Maybe we can do if we get to a certain amount on Patreon, or a certain number of subscribers, if we can get to 10,000 subscribers, maybe Jack will let me give him a haircut.
We're gonna hit 10,000 subscribers. Speaking of which, probably in the next 3 weeks.
Well, are we at 9 right now?
Almost.
So would you allow me to give you a haircut at 10?
I would allow you to give me a buzz cut. Now, like an actual haircut with scissors.
No.
I don't think you're ready for all that.
I don't know how to do that.
Especially with your coordination issues right now.
No, when I say haircut, I mean the type of haircut I'm good at, which is...
Yeah, I'll go for that.
All right, you guys heard it here. Please spread the word. 10,000 subscribers, and Jack will let me give him a haircut with my clippers live on air.
Like Starship Troopers haircut. Yeah.
Well, that's new. This was not pre-planned. I just want you to know that.
Let's see here. What else is going on? Someone was asking about that Soviet defector Yuri Bismanov. Go watch the episode with Kent Clisby. He talks about him. He was just a journalist. He didn't fucking know anything. Glad you're all right, Dave. Love from Portland. Jack, what do you do if it was some old person? I mean, they would die. I mean, it would be horrible. Let's see. Any other questions?
Somebody told you to start taking P5P and vitamin E. Your prolactin is high.
Maybe
it causes. I don't know what prolactin is.
I don't know what that is either. But you know what? Whatever the hell he's talking about, I'll take it. I'll take it. It's time to do it.
Oh, where are the drinks? So that's another reason I haven't been on the show, because I can't drink. I have a TBI and the traumatic. So I had a level 2 traumatic brain injury when I was admitted, or diagnosed with a level 2 traumatic brain injury when I was admitted to the hospital. It was downgraded to a level 1. But unfortunately, I can't drink with a TBI until the doctors give me approval. And also, because I had a brain bleed, like no blood thinners, and alcohol is a blood thinner. So that's where the alcohol is. And that's another major reason I'm on the show. What's the point of being on the show if I can't drink? I mean, really. And thanks, everybody, for your welcome back. And let's get a helmet for Dave. Yeah, I probably do need one. Fortunately, my skull has proven quite adequate when it comes to that.
Yeah, so I'm gonna continue coming in here and trying to touch things up, and I hope you guys kind of like what we're doing with the place and the direction we're going in. What else is going on?
Andrew said, what do you mean, what if it were some old person?
Yeah. Oh, that is, yeah. Dave's not quite a senior citizen yet.
I am a member of AARP.
Yeah?
I am.
You putting in for Social Security?
I know I can't do that till I'm 60,
Yeah.
but I am old enough I did join AARP because, insurance discounts and stuff. But yeah, so that's where we are with the set. Unfortunately, like most of my kit is in storage in another state, and I don't know when I'll be able to get to it. But if you guys have any ideas for things that we can do to improve either the set dressing, the quality of the show, we deeply appreciate everybody.
Yeah.
Everybody.
We're gonna get some more lighting in here, I think, and we got some sound blankets to put up in the corners over here. I'll do that actually after we finish the stream, and yeah, we're gonna keep improving it as we go. And I should also thank all of you guys directly, because like these bookcases and things like this, some of these extra lights and stuff that I've been buying, it's because of our Patreon supporters and you guys, helping us out. So it's all going back into improving the show and making it better.
Yeah, that's the thing, is that we got to the point on Patreon, and we told you a while ago when we were able to cover all of our basic expenses, and now we're able to cream a couple $100 or so off the top, every month, and it goes. Neither of us are taking that money. It all goes, towards the business, dressing it up, and improving everything on every time we can. We're just glad that none of it is coming out of our pockets anymore. And when I say our pockets, I mostly mean Jack's pocket, just so you guys know that.
Because I can't afford to keep all this up and running indefinitely.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's literally because of you guys. And we just want to make sure that we're delivering.
Yeah.
And I think we have been delivering, although we've had to, go remote. I hope that these interviews have been delivering for you guys. I know for a little while we were doing the show and I kept promising, we're going to have all these cool people on and this and that. And I hope that, I wasn't, writing checks that my ass couldn't cash. I think the show is pretty good. I think it's coming into its own. I think we have some really amazing people on there.
We're just over a year old now, right? A year and
just about. We're going into episode 56. But if you really look at it, we didn't really pick up steam till episode 18. A lot of those episodes were me and you just bullshitting about whatever.
And that's the thing, is for those of you who haven't been around the entire time, I mean, Jack and I didn't even know what this show was going to be at first. Originally, everything was put in place to do a D&D streaming channel, which never really got its legs. And so, Jack calls me one time and he goes, hey, we got these cameras, we got this stuff. Do you want to come down and record something? I said, well, sure. What do you want to do? He goes, I don't know. We'll just talk. And that's sort of what we did for the first, the first few weeks, is we just bullshitted about news, and, we were just going to be another commentary channel, I think.
We definitely stumble fucked our way through it. And that's why I really appreciate all you guys sticking with us, because you were the early adopters that put up with us.
Yeah.
Even when the content was good, again, our technical abilities have been somewhat lacking, and so we were figuring it out, building it out as we've gone. And I just hope that we're delivering for you guys.
Yeah. And I want to say a special thank you to Jack also, for those of you guys who don't know, because when this happened to me,
no big deal.
I know when I got assaulted, Jack was right there, right from the word go, even though he, was upstate. He put out the message. He set up the GoFundMe. He had asked people to help how to do that. Right.
The GoFundMe, I was actually able to figure that out.
Okay. And then as soon as he came into town that weekend, when I was discharged from the hospital, came over, brought groceries with him, Jack rogered up, right off the bat, and in ways that, we're super supportive. So I just want everybody to know that how much I appreciate Jack and what he did.
Thank you. And you're part of the team. When you're on the squad, you're on the squad, you know. And if you're not on the squad, fuck you. I don't care about you. It's
Well,
kind of
you're-
like that.
So you're saying
know?
you didn't want to be on a squad by yourself?
Oh, well, like solo ops? Like, I don't know if I want to be that guy.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like we're a squad of two.
Yeah, but there's a team.
Yeah,
there's
yeah.
a team.
Yeah.
A lot of the people who have been on this show.
Oh, that's the other thing.
They feel connected to you.
That's
and
the
they
other
care
thing.
about you.
So many people, so many of our former guests have reached out and galvanized. I mean, I can't I'm going to forget people. But you know, Scott Ritter reached out. George Hannon was like posting stuff
Yeah.
everywhere. Geo, and I'm forgetting people now.
HK Roy.
HK Roy,
was asking questions.
yeah, checked in, like sent us emails.
James Powell, all of those guys.
The female author, was it
Tracy or Sarah?
Sarah. I think Tracy did too, but Sarah, checked, a lot of people from our show have really checked in and been
Yeah.
super, super supportive. So they're all part of our team too. And you guys are too. Like, it's not just a team of one, or a team of two. Let me make sure nothing else here. I'm gonna have to go soon because like the lights are starting to get to me.
And I'm thinking also of doing like not at all regularly, but every so often do like kind of like one of these just sort of sitting around bullshitting update kind of shows. Not necessarily to just like sit around and talk about our lives, but kind of talk about like what's going on with the show, what's the future, who do we have coming up in the future, what's coming up over the horizon, and maybe just kind of like BSing about some stuff, other things going on around us. And I have no idea what we'd even call that show. It's not. It would just be an intermittent, every once in a while kind of bullshit session.
Yeah, we've definitely been talking about producing more content. Drill sergeant. Do we want to have a drill sergeant on? That'd be interesting, huh?
Sometime, yeah.
Yeah, or drill sergeant.
Having like a guy who lived like the real like infantry career, who was like, you know, from private to platoon sergeant, did his time as a drill instructor, going up to then be like infantry first sergeant. Like, I'd really like to hear like that 11 Bravo, you know, mainline career field.
Yeah.
Sometimes what happens with a show like this, and it's because of, you know, me, I think, and my interests, like we're very much about like operations and about covert and clandestine missions and all this kind of stuff.
Right.
But I mean, I would like to have like Marine infantry dude.
Yeah.
You know, gunny on here. That kind of thing. Like the more like conventional forces. And I want to have people like that on sometimes as well. I mean, I even want to have some people from like the State Department on.
Yeah.
As time goes on, because these are all different components that plug into, you know, these efforts abroad.
Well, and that's one of the things that, because Jack and I both have soft backgrounds, spec ops backgrounds, like those are the people that we know and the communities that are easier to reach out through. But in no way, I mean, we both have a lot of respect for conventional forces. Like, it's not like pre-GWAT, there was always like this, kind of this leg syndrome, right? If you're not spec ops or whatever.
A lot of like jealousy, a lot of like rivalry, who's better than who,
And a lot
that sort
of discounting conventional forces because nobody was doing anything. So it was really a matter of training and stuff like that.
Right. I got sleeves on my pockets, you don't.
But then,
or pockets on my sleeves.
Yeah, but then when both Iraq and Afghanistan kicked off, and you had things like 10th Mountain and Tora Bora, you had the Marines in Fallujah, and you had these conventional forces that were out there just kicking ass and taking names. I don't think there's a member of the special operations community now who, or at least an honest member of the special operations community who can look at any of these conventional forces and take anything at all away from them.
You know what it is too, is that by having this experience in war, you realize what we can do and what we can't. And like, you know, a Ranger company, like you're not going to fight the Battle of Fallujah.
Right.
Like you're just not. You need to bring in like some fucking real ass to handle that kind of shit.
Right.
And that's where, you know, conventional infantry comes in.
Right.
Those sorts of engagements, like you do not want to be out in the middle of Afghanistan with just a platoon.
Right.
No matter how badass that platoon is and how highly trained there are, there's some situations where you're like, holy shit.
Right.
Get the 10th Mountain guys in here.
And we've talked about this before on the show. Maybe, was it with the CA and SIOPS that with your two, was like when I was in Iraq at one point in time, like the Arkansas National Guard, it was like an armor unit.
Yeah.
I mean, they were like QRF for all these different soft forces, and those not only were they QRF, but they were out there. I mean, hooking and jabbing. I mean, getting into knockdown, drag out fights inside our city, and these were guardsmen, who were just tearing it up. So, yeah, I mean, we respect like everything everybody's done, and we'd love to have these people on the show in some, in one form or another.
Yeah.
We might have to, somebody said strippers. Yes. I don't know what you meant. No, I'm just going to say yes.
Mr. Smith says that I seethe when my worldview is challenged.
Seethe? Yeah.
Seethed. I'm not such a snowflake guy. I'm sorry.
That you seethe, or
Yeah, that I'm seething.
what's Jack seething about?
I don't know.
Which worldview in particular?
I don't know. I'm seething though about it.
That D&D is better than Pathfinder, or
It is better than Pathfinder.
yeah, I think so too. But Pathfinder is still a good system, Did they find the scumbag who jumped? We talked about that. They have not found him yet, but they're looking for him.
Searching.
Do you want to elaborate? Since we're just here talking, we don't have a guest. Do you want to elaborate at all on your plan to shut our SEAL teams?
No, there's another scandal yesterday, and it was about why SEALs Team 7 got yanked out of Iraq last year. And it was because there's an alleged rape, that a SEAL raped one of their the women who worked intel for them. And the story is out in AP. Jim Laporta worked on the story with somebody else. You can go read it you should go and read it for yourself. Anyway, what I was saying was, I was like, look, man, we got Navy divers, we got Force Recon, we got Marine Special Operations, we got Army diver, there are Army divers. There's also Army Special Forces dive teams. We have all these guys who have, maritime capability. Like, why do we need SEALs? Like, really? Like, these guys are so much melodrama. Every Special Operations Task Force commander I've talked to is just like unending problems with SEAL platoons. Look, you don't need me to tell you that they have a cultural problem in that unit.
And Jack and I were talking about this earlier, and and we both know SEALs, individuals who are phenomenal dudes, phenomenal operators. The issue more comes in, I think, like my personal opinion, is that going through BUDS and the Navy, they don't necessarily grow. There's rank, but there's not like the super hierarchical rank structure where you grow up sort of from a private, and where like the Marines, the Rangers, like these other organizations, they have this. And not that there can't be institutional organizational issues within those groups too, but the idea of military bearing, military discipline, these ideas, unfortunately, they don't necessarily become like a part of SEAL culture, and it's funny because I said, this has sort of been a bit of an issue since the movie. And which movie did you mention?
Act of Valor.
Yeah, and I was like, no, Navy SEALs, like going all the way back to like 1989, 1990, when Charlie Sheen jumped out of a Jeep off a bridge into the water, and he was the wild child. And I remember back in the Navy, back in that time, that was kind of who dudes wanted to be, So, again, things seems like we're throwing a lot of shade on SEALs, and it is one team, one fight, and there are a lot of great SEALs. There are just some organizational challenges.
There are people who get super angry with me, and they act like remember that guy with Britney Spears? They're like, leave Britney alone, and they come at me, leave SEALs alone, Jack. Why are you doing it? Like, calm down, man.
Yeah.
The SEALs aren't going to get disbanded because, Jack said something mean about them on Twitter. Like that,
Yeah, I
the
mean,
Navy will get over it.
if any policymakers actually start listening to Jack,
Yeah,
there are other things that we want to change first, I think. Blue lighting, they like the blue lighting.
Yeah, where's my damn remote? So the cool thing about the lights is I got this little remote control here, and look at this. Oh, change the colors so we can do green, we can do orange, we can do purple. Mess around with it.
Somebody's asked about Ron. Have we heard from Ron Moeller?
Yeah, I heard from Ron. When did I had some messages back and forth like last week maybe. But I think he's doing pretty good, yeah.
Yeah. Somebody said he's off social media, which he may be. I don't know.
No, he's not. No. I was talking to him.
He may have locked down his accounts. I'm not sure. But
I think he may have created a new account on Twitter, but he's still around.
yeah. But yeah, he's like, I talked to him a couple weeks ago, and he's doing well. Although I think we need 2 bonus episodes. Jack interviews Dave, and Dave interviews Jack.
It's actually really funny that he mentions that because I want to do that. And I know some people are probably sick of us, but there are other people who they watch the show for the first time. And they're like, who are these 2 dudes? And so I think it would be good maybe have 2 episodes, but that are a little bit produced. Like we get somebody to come in and produce them.
Yeah.
And we do one where I'll interview you, and then one where you'll interview me. Maybe that's like a 2021 project, I think, or late 2020 project.
Yeah.
That we
Or maybe even some. I know Gio wanted to interview.
Oh,
us.
really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe we can invite him on. I don't know if that'd be of interest to anybody. I mean, I personally feel like our guests are far more interesting than I am. I feel like, but I mean, I'm a, I don't want to say open book. I'm a few pages.
Don't worry, Dave. I have many penetrating questions. Make you feel uncomfortable.
Need to let the attacker meet Smokey West. Yeah, that would have been a different story. Thanks, Voltage Blue, for the donation.
Oh, do you have any opinion about Gurps? That's for you, Dave.
Man, let me tell you something about Gurps. I used to love this shit. So Gurps, for those of you who don't know, is it's a generic universal role-playing system made by Steve Jackson. I used to play the hell out of Gurps in, when was it? The late 90s, I guess, 80, or was it? No, the late 80s. So GURPS was this modular system, like I said, generic universal role playing. So basically, they had the same system of character creation, but they had all these different modules. So they had superheroes, they had spies, they had horror, like you could do a Cthulhu thing. They had fantasy, and these modules added the powers or genre specific stuff to it. I used to love the shit out of GURPS. It's fascinating somebody brought that up. I don't even know if it's still around, but it was a fun system because it was also fun because you could take characters from one genre and put them in another. The superhero system was a little imbalanced, but superhero systems, like if you ever played Champions or anything else like that, superhero systems have always been really tough to balance in terms of you want to talk about a system that you can really min-max. It's a superhero system.
Yeah.
Like you can take all these disabilities and stuff to give you all these points, and then really jack up your speed or whatever, and just be this insanely powerful.
Yeah, and how do you in the comics they almost make a joke out of it, when you stack Batman up against Kite Man, he's third-rate supervillains.
Right.
How's that going to work?
Right. I mean, and that's the thing is even in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, they've had to cap people's powers, like the Hulk and Thor and everything, because really they're planet destroyer. The comics can get away with it, but in the movies, it's hard to bring up villains or have these battles that don't level entire cities. But anyway, yes, I love Gurps, or at least I used to. I haven't played it in years.
Someone's talking about Car Wars 6 that just came out. He's been playing that.
I played Car Wars ages ago. Car Wars was another really fun system. Oh wait, is Car Wars Gurps? I played Car Wars ages ago.
No, he's saying he asked for them to refund his money because they banned him from their Facebook for asking them not to get involved in politics. And that's a thing with role-playing games, getting involved in politics, I get it to a certain point, but then it's like, yeah.
Like Jack and I were kind of talking about this earlier today with Wizards of the Coast sort of doing some of the changes they're doing with D&D, and it's unfortunately, I I don't know how much I want to stand here, but basically, I played D&D since the 6th grade. How old are you when you're in the 6th grade?
Like 12.
Like 12. Yeah. So 38 years ago. I mean, I actually first played Chainmail. D&D was out, but one of my friends had Chainmail, and we started playing that before I even knew about D&D. And in all that time, nobody that I've known and nobody that I've ever played with has ever compared orcs to a minority or anything like that. So if people are starting to do that now, and asking that things be changed, like orcs are no longer evil, like that's sort of your own racism showing, dude, because if you're making that, nobody's ever made that connection until you. That's
like some dark stuff.
That's some really, that's some really strong projection there.
Well, I understand some, like they still like a lot of the role playing games, they use the term race.
Right.
When really they're talking about species. Like if they wanted to change that, like I understand it because it's confusing to people. But yeah, some of the changes they're like now they want to like mainline all of the different species.
Right.
And
where they're just going to be almost like skins instead of like having an advantage, because orcs aren't supposed to be strong, and elves aren't supposed, or halflings aren't supposed to be dexterous.
Anyone who's played like even the video games and stuff, you play a dwarf and he has like more constitution. He's a stronger.
Right.
They're like talking about getting rid of all of that kind of stuff because it's quote unquote racist.
But here's the thing with all this stuff is, I mean, it'll eventually go away. Just keep the systems that you like. When people don't buy new content because they don't like it, they're ultimately businesses, and they're going to realize that the 3% of people that are on Twitter that are outraged aren't the people that are generally buying their product anyway. You know what I mean? And I'm not saying boycott these. I'm not saying boycott Wizards of the Coast. I'm not saying boycott anybody or Steve Jackson Games or anybody else like that. But you're going to buy what you like, just like people go to what movies they enjoy and what not go to. And I feel like all this political correctness and all this stuff, like it's coming from a good place, even if it's not really coming out in a good way, and it'll pass eventually. It'll pass, and we'll go back to people just being people and people getting along, and people not pandering anymore. I think Trader Joe's is a good example of what happens when people refuse to pander, and they're finding out that, well, our business isn't going down. Like the people calling for this aren't. They're this minority of people that are bored. I mean, especially with COVID going on, right? And they're looking for problems where there aren't problems.
You want the Jack Murphy hot take on this stuff. Like, I think it's very, very interesting that the video games, the role-playing games, the social media companies, instead of coming out and saying, hey, we support police reform, or we support some sort of law enforcement reform or prison reform, or saying, we want to support this sort of legislation to help minorities. Instead, what they do is they say, our world, this reality we've created inside a video game or inside a social media network, that we've created this virtual safe space for you to retreat into. You're saying, well, we don't like the reality we have, and instead of working together to change it, just retreat into this virtual safe space. You can hide out in this role-playing game. You can hide out in this video game. You can hide out in this social media network. It's a safe place for everyone. And it's just fascinating to me that, well, no one calls it out, but what they're doing is they're selling you a corporate product.
Right.
And they're just throwing BLM on it or some sort of slogan on it.
Right.
To sell you a corporate product. That's what it is. That's what these video games are, what these social networks are. They are corporate products. And it's just a very odd thing as human beings that we think that by buying this corporate product, we are supporting some sort of positive social change.
Right. Right.
That's a very convenient dynamic for these huge companies.
Right. And the way I feel about, these companies or these actors or whomever else is like at the point in time that they give away 50% of their profits to these causes that they support so strongly. If an actor agrees to get by on a measly $1 million a year and gives the rest to a charitable organization of their choosing, then I'll believe that they're not just pandering or positioning or whatever else. But I don't know. I mean, I just say, like, be patient with these, with all this. And I'm sorry that you got banned from their forum for asking them not to get involved in politics. I mean, I don't want to get involved in politics at all. I don't know why businesses choose to, because it's ultimately, if they just kind of ignore it, it's not going to affect their bottom line. And they can make whatever changes internally they want to make without making these vast statements. But it's their business. They can do whatever they want.
Andrew's asking, how about the stuff around Vampire the Masquerade and using actual safe words and integrating issues of consent into the game?
So that's probably pretty important. I don't know anything about that. I've never played Vampire the Masquerade. A lot of kids at DLI, when I was there, used to play.
DLI, of course.
Yeah, so at Defense Language Institute, when I was there, like, a lot of kids did play Vampire. I've never done any LARPing or anything like that. But I would say that having a safe word in that type of situation and having issues of consent is probably, especially since it's vampires and there's probably, I imagine, at times, like, erotic overtones to it, or you can easily have somebody in that environment get abusive and say that they're just role playing.
Right.
And if without a safe word or without somebody being able to say, I don't like. Because it's like sort of like, I mean, I hate to say this, but it's sort of like in the kink community. What's the difference between somebody saying no in a scene?
When they really mean yes.
Right. It's saying no because it's part of the kink or part of the game in the case of like a LARP, like Vampire Masquerade. What's the difference between them saying no, like, oh, no, don't, and them legitimately say no, like, you're really fucking creeping me out right now, or you've really gone over this. So I think that, and again, I'm saying this just solely, I haven't heard anything about this. I'm based solely on what you just asked. But just off the top of my head, it seems like having safe words, having consent with a LARP is actually a really good thing, because I imagine that there are abusive people. It's like in D&D, like, there are people who try to inject their kinks into a D&D game. It's just really, really weird when they do. When they're, like, constantly trying to seduce, the tavern wench and talk about it. It's like, man, this,
I feel like I'm falling short now. Like, I DM a game on Sundays for my friends, and there's surprisingly little sex going on. Little hanky-panky going on in that game. Lots of blood and guts, though.
Yeah, I have always hated it when, like, things in a role-playing game, like, got sexual. When somebody's trying, it's just weird.
You want me to role-play your handy under the barroom table? And
yeah, it's so weird.
No, thank you.
And even the whole, like, and this kind of, like, breaks the whole role-playing thing, but, like, when there's, like, oh, I want to seduce her, or want to seduce him, or whatever, it's like, okay, roll for a check or charisma check, but you don't have to tell me how you do it. Like, we don't need to act this out. Like, that's just, anyway, but that's just me. But anyway, Andrew, that's my answer to that question.
All right, guys.
Yeah, I think so.
Ready to wrap it up now that we've talked about role-playing.
Oh, any soft or military organizations can help me out with my bills. So I just want to say this about my bills right now and about soft organizations. Like, I've had a lot of issues with, like, we're going to shut down the GoFundMe pretty soon because until I find out what I'm gonna be on the hook for and things like that, like, because people are trying to hook me up with, code of vets and things like that. And there are a lot of veterans out there in need who do not have like the social support network that I do and have had, and like people have been super generous, and I don't know, and until I know more about what my overall costs are going to be, what bills I'm going to be getting, what future care I'm going to need, things like that. I don't feel good about, one, I don't want to get veteran organizations involved, because there are vets who don't have like you guys and the improv community and the ranger community and all these other things. So right now I'm actually I'm not sweating the cost. You know, in the future, if I start getting bills that I can't handle, that might change. But for now, like that's, anyway, that's that. I think that's it.
Sorry.
I know you guys are gonna keep,
I'm just playing with the lights just to see what they look like on camera.
and I can't keep up with all your questions, guys, but how about the good stuff around the vamp? Okay, so you saw that. Dark elf lives matter. I mean, that's, you know, dark elves are dark elves, and, you know, they're drow, you know, they're drow. Anyway. I think, ever heard of Yuri Bismanov?
Yeah, that's what we were talking about before. Kent Clisby talked about him when we did that episode.
Right, yeah.
So guys, this Friday, I'm going to be interviewing Ed Kugler, who is a Marine Scout sniper in Vietnam. We're pretty heavy on the Vietnam veterans lately, and actually we're going to be through September also. And then October, we're going to get more contemporary. October, November, we're going to have more contemporary guests on, people who's more war on terror era guys.
Yeah, and we really appreciate the suggestions you guys give too, because, I mean, Jack has a really good network of people, and those people have been recommending people, but also, you know, sometimes you guys hear about people that we're unaware of, and
absolutely,
you know,
Ed Kugler was someone who, like, you guys messaged me on Facebook or something and put me in touch with him, and we spoke on the phone maybe 2 months ago, and now I'm starting to set things up for the interview on Friday. So yeah, that's because of you guys.
Yeah. So and again, guys, I'm sorry we can't get to all the. Green is the least. Eye
strain color.
Stop reading, love, mom. Mom, thank you. I don't think that's my mom. Yeah, I think that's it. And guys, like, we will talk about a little bit like politics and political correctness and stuff, but I think Jack and I both feel, I mean, outside of sort of like, I mean, I don't know how Jack feels about this, but I feel like they're obviously like Marxist undercurrents that are taking advantage of this. But like when it comes to like BLM, I think that most people who go out and support causes, whether you know, they're good-hearted people, you know, trying to do what they feel is right. You know, that, you know, most people in the United States, whether they're on the left or the right, are trying to do what they believe is right. You know, there are people on the far right that obviously have ill intentions for, you know, for the country, for the way we, you know, the way we live. There are people on the far left who have ill intentions for the way we live. But I mean, most people are going to vote left. I mean, most people, I mean, that's why we get Democrat and Republican presidents, because most people are not that strongly committed to one side or the other.
Right.
They want to go to work and they want to feed their families, and they want people in America to be okay. You know, they don't support radical movements on either side. You know, they might get sold a lie for a while, but they wise up.
Yeah, and those are it's just a case of the loudest voices kind of coming to the forefront.
Yeah.
And the loudest voices are the most extreme, politically extreme voices.
Right. And, and people people believing that Twitter is a reality or social media is a reality when, 80% of the Americans aren't even on Twitter.
More, I think,
Yeah. So, we don't want to get overly political because we don't want to alienate anybody. And I mean, I for myself don't think that my political opinions are I've been wrong before, and I know that any given moment I could be wrong with what I believe now, even though I don't feel like I'm wrong.
Yeah, I think there's a couple of different ways to look at it, but overall the show is really it's not about partisan politics.
Right.
And I don't want to shock anyone here, but I'm also a believer that there's more in life than just partisan politics. You can take any guest we've had on the show. Some of them I know about their political beliefs, some I don't at all. At the end of the day, I don't really care.
Right, and that's the thing is we don't really want to bring on somebody whose whole platform is a political platform.
Yeah.
But we have Vietnam vets. We've had people on who are left. We have people on who are right.
And whatever their political affiliations are, it really doesn't detract or enhance their honorable service to our country.
Right.
Whether they voted Democrat or voted Republican, it's kind of irrelevant to what they did in the military or in the intelligence community. Or
and the left and the right are very flexible things right now anyway, because it's hard to determine what a platform, what somebody's platform is. Now if you're sort of, hey, let's pull our troops out of these places, let's pull our troops out of Afghanistan, that's something that left may have said in the past, but now the sort of left is supporting it. And, so that's sort of where we stand, not where we stand individually politically, but where we'd like to keep the show. Because we want everybody to feel welcome to come on and share their experiences.
Absolutely. Everyone's welcome on this show, either as a guest or as a viewer or whatever it is. I mean, we have people who are LGBT, we have people who are Jews, we have people who are Hispanic, people who are black, men, women. We have not had a transsexual, veteran on. Maybe one day we will. I don't know. But those people are all welcome here because they're all part of our military services, part of our intelligence community.
Well, and if we do have a transsexual veteran on or a transsexual member of the intelligence community or whatever, they're not going to be on the show because they're transsexual.
Right.
They're going to be on the show because they have an interesting, they're either perspective of history, or we're a part of history. That's the thing is we don't care about
unless they bring it up. How are you even going to know that they're LGBT or not?
Yeah,
I mean,
we don't care about any of that. We just care about providing you guys with the opportunity to learn from these people and these people who are on our show, the opportunity to record their history so it's not lost.
RS asks if he can get a shout out to Blackbeard Orbital.
Yeah, what is Blackbeard? Oh,
I have no idea if that's his gaming handle or something, but yes, you can, Blackbeard Orbital.
Did we just sign up for something that's going to get us?
Is Blackbeard Orbital a sex act?
Wait, let's make sure that we didn't. Can you Blackbeard by Orbital Earthclaw? Blackbeard Orbital my Mandex? Because if this is are we getting suckered into supporting some?
It's all right. I don't even care.
Yeah. So guys, check out Blackbeard Orbital. It's a shout out.
Is it just me or has the lights gotten more dim since we've been sitting here?
I think the lights got more dim. That might be me. Did I mess with that?
Like it was sitting in your back pocket and it just turned the app on and dialed down the lighting. I just noticed it's doot, 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 doot. Hey, really off topic. Have you guys heard of 5 Romeo Rhodesian YouTube channel run by a Rhodesian war veteran? Would have him on if he was available. Maybe. I don't know him or who he is. I know quite a few people though. In next month, we're having on a guy who served in recon and force recon in Vietnam, and then he joined the Rhodesian Light Infantry and the Salute Scouts. So this guy has quite a bit of experience.
Yeah, and
This lighting is getting dimmer and dimmer.
it is. I don't think that's me though, but I'll turn it up. One thing is that it's challenging for us sometimes when it comes to inviting people on is what's going on here? Is we have to ensure our due diligence.
There you go. See the difference?
Yeah, we have to ensure our due diligence that the person we have on is legitimately who they say they are and that they have done what they have done. Because, I mean, there was just that thing about the guy from the CIA who had everybody fooled, who said he was from the CIA.
Oh, yeah, they're a dime a dozen.
You know, and so we always have to make sure, and Jack does a lot of this, like almost all of it, like all of it. But we have to make sure that when we see somebody that we have a way of verifying who they are, because there are so many posers and so many fakes out there, or even people who maybe were who they said they were but didn't do all the things they said they do. So that's challenging sometimes because we don't want to get people on the show that.
Blackbeard Orbital's a friend of mine is texting me.
Oh, okay. Okay. All right. I just see us shouting out to something that gets our channel banned from.
No. But I think, Dave, unless you got anything to add or any like last minute questions here on the stream, I think we can probably wrap it up for today. We just wanted to give kind of a status update on you know what was going on with Dave and what's going on with the show and the studio and all that. So really appreciate you guys joining us.
Yeah, we really do. I just want to go.
Yeah, that's interesting about how it got like dimmer and dimmer as the show went on.
Yeah.
Like I think maybe it's trying to tell us to wrap it up. They're like, hey.
Yeah, I think that's it. If you guys have any last minute stuff, we're happy to answer it. Thanks for all the well wishes, guys. I really appreciate it. Like I said, I'm doing well. This next week for me, Monday through Thursday, will be telling in terms of what, because originally when I was in the hospital, like I had all these surgical teams, neuro, ortho, ophthalmology, dental, like oral, you know, I mean, originally I was told I was going to have all these surgeries. Then they said, well, we need, you know, they put me on these steroids. We're going to have to wait for the swelling to go down before we can determine what needs to be operated on. The jaw will probably have to be fixed because I think it's fractured and like subluxated or something like that.
They have to reset it.
Yeah. But I've been really lucky. I mean, I've been super lucky. I mean, considering that I could be learning my ABCs or learning how to walk now, I've been really fortunate. But just thank you, everybody, for your support. Edward Snowden getting pardoned.
For real?
No, any thoughts on him? Any thoughts about him getting pardoned?
Hell no.
I like it's one. For those of you who don't quite get it, Edward Snowden was not a whistleblower. There's a chain, there's a process to go through if you're a whistleblower.
Get congressional support.
There's a process in place to help whistleblowers.
And all the people who say, well, he blew the whistle on domestic spying, dude, he made off with everything, like the crown jewels, okay, of the intelligence community. And only one thing pertained to domestic spying was that PRISM program, which the courts realized, well, it's just metadata. They're not really spying on you. So beyond that, everything he took involved lawful overseas espionage, and he handed that over to the Chinese and the Russians.
He's a traitor. I mean, he is not a whistleblower. He was somebody, for those who don't know, he was a system admin, and so he had system admin privileges and did not have access to classified information. Then he got promoted to like Intel analyst or something like that, but the government forgot to revoke his sysadmin privilege, so they gave him all these new privileges and access with the old sysadmin privileges, and then he just took all this information that was all legal by United States standards. You know,
By our law.
By our law, because there are things that the CIA cannot do in the United States. There are things that, you know, the military cannot do. Like there are things, like we have laws that regulate all this stuff. There is oversight, and I don't know. I don't know why the president would say something like that. I'll be really, really, really upset if that were to happen, because I think that the guy should get tried for treason personally.
Yeah. The AG weighed in and said, hell no.
Yeah.
But of course, it's not his say.
Yeah.
As far as, yeah, because I remember researching this when he was pardoning, you know, convicted war criminals, and the power to pardon has been deemed by the Supreme Court to flow directly from the U.S. Constitution. It's just one of those powers the president has that, like, there is no check on it. Nobody can tell him no. Mm-hmm. It's just part of the checks and balances built into our system of government.
Yeah. And, you know, I mean, I don't want to say every president, I don't want to say abuses, but every president uses
For political purposes.
pardons for political purposes. Like, he's not the first, he won't be the last, but this is a really big deal, you know.
All right, guys. Are we
Yeah, guys.
wrap it up?
Sorry, but I have to go. But we'll try and do this again soon. Hopefully, I'll be back on the show in a couple of weeks. But we really appreciate. Yeah, sorry, it's really getting to me. But we really deeply appreciate everybody. And we'll finish the rhubarb pie story sometime. So.